We have a question from Isaac. Dear Swamiji, I have always been a spiritual person. However, I have had periods of life where I have not acted accordingly. No harm in that. However, in one of these periods 4 years ago, I started dating someone who was quite adverse to religion and spirituality. We live in the same house. She feels like I am neglecting her because I have started studying Vedanta again in 70% of my spare time. I have lost interest in a lot of things we used to do together because their small joys are nothing to the joy of self. I want to live more of a holy life, but she doesn't understand what it means or is not interested in learning. There are times where our connections has rather strengthened my false identifications. She isn't working towards the same goal as I. This is totally fine and acceptable behavior. It is hers to do. However, is this a relationship I should be keeping so close? First of all, glad to hear about your interest in Vedanta and spirituality. Now, coming to your question, it is completely something which you have to decide, and no one can decide for you. Having said that, every relationship can be a challenge or an opportunity for you to grow spiritually, because the fundamental basis of spirituality is the attenuation of this individual self or ego or this little me. So relationships can become an opportunity to expand yourself. You will be thinking more about her little joys and how to fulfill them and seeing to her comforts in life. Thus, you will think more about her than about yourself. And for this, don't think of her as a body or a mind or a person. So divinize that relationship. Try to have the attitude that she is a manifestation of divinity and you are serving the divine. With that attitude, mentally, you don't have to show it to her. And all she will see is that you are available to her all the time. And that will transform her life too. So this is how we divinize relationships. But if you think that it is a hindrance, then you may have to discuss with her and take a call as to whether you need to separate or not. So that is completely something which you have to decide. Because why I say this is, sometimes or more often than not, when we begin our spiritual journey, we may become extremely selfish without we knowing it. We may think that we are contemplating the self, or we are not bothered about the world, and so this can become a wake-up call. The sacrifice, little sacrifices that you have to make for your loved ones and those around you, and slowly you can expand your heart. Because without the expansion of heart, spirituality will just be an intellectual gymnastics. And the best way is to have that compassion for others. So why not start at home, right? So it's easier to start at home than to go and serve someone who is a stranger. And also remember that there are no mistakes in life. There are only choices or life lessons. You do something, and if you can own up to it and face the results without any judgment, then every situation will just be neutral and just a lesson, rather than classifying it as a good thing or a bad thing or mistake. So life is too short to be bothered about these decisions and regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Life is too short for all that. Just plunge into action. Saint Augustine says, love and do what you will. And how do you know whether it is love or attachment? Because there won't be any reaction if it is pure love. Only in attachment there is a need, there is a craving that the other person should act or behave in this way or that way. the way this little me likes it. So you need to see if this whole relationship is a need-based relationship or not. And if mutual pleasure is the sole criteria for you being together, then this could be a hindrance in your spiritual life. So you take a call on this after analyzing your mind as well as the situation. So all the very best to both of you, and hope you can find a common space of sacredness without compromising too much of your individual aspirations. Namaste.